All right, welcome to Wall Street Reporter's Investors Discovery Day program. And today we are speaking with ABVC BioPharma. Stock symbol is ABVC on NASDAQ, and the CEO is Uttam Patil. Uttam, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for the opportunity.
Uttam, good to have you here. Now, I want to kind of start off with, for a lot of investors don't know about ABVC. You're in the drug discovery business. Can you just kind of start off with maybe like a quick snapshot, an overview of, what ABVC does and, some of your key programs right now?
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad to talk about that. ABVC is basically a R&D company. We mainly focus on plant-based drug products. We have three main classification that we are working on. One in the ophthalmology and two on the drug side. Among the drug side, we have two major classes, one for the CNS drugs and another for oncology. The CNS drug is basically a single drug that that has shown indication on two different type of disorders. One is for the major depression disorder and another for ADHD. And it's a plant's root extract that we have formulated into a capsule. And for the oncology part, although it's not an anti-cancer drug, but it's going to help to boost the immunity of the patient. So that drug is basically known to enhance the immune cells and reduce the side effects that are caused by the chemotherapy. So that drug would come as a combination therapy and not as an anti-cancer drug itself. So those are the two major class of drugs that ABVC is working on. And there's a medical device that we have. It's a vitreous substitute, which is a chemical composition, but has shown good results in the FIH that we did in Australia. That's first in human studies.
This is the treatment for, was it retinal detachment, right?
Yeah, retinal detachment and hemorrhage. So
Vitargis. Okay.
the current marketed products, they do have some serious, I won't say like side effects, but also there are not so friendly atmosphere to work around those products, like having laying down for more than around a month's time with face down
Oh, really?
position, and having to undergo two surgeries, one for refilling or sometimes it requires to remove
Okay.
the silicone oil that is used as a vitreous substitute. So kind of a tedious surgery, but the patient has to sometimes undergo two surgeries or multiple surgeries also. In our case, our product has shown the possibility of no need of the second surgery at all. And
Okay.
also face down position is not really required in case of our product. Also, our product is biodegradable. So once injected into the eye, it can get excreted by natural way. So that's why it doesn't really need to have a second surgery. But because it's a chemical composition, FDA classifies that as a medical device and not as a drug. So
Okay.
that's the chemical composition that ABVC is currently working on. Although,
And this,
yeah,
oh, okay. So I want to kind of go through your different clinical programs like one by one,
mhm.
because and
Okay.
we'll talk about the market opportunities they address. But I want to start off with Vitargis, right? This is
Mhm.
the treatment for retinal detachment.
Yep.
You're in phase 2, right? On this program?
Yeah, we completed the FIH in Australia, and then we applied for the clinical trial approval, and we got the Australian FDA's approval, and now we are moving forward with the phase 2. There are certain things that we need to prepare before getting the number of patients enroll and then complete uh, the clinical data. For the reason we choose Australia was that the PMA application in Australia requires 100 patients data, whereas in US it requires 375 patients data. So our idea is to complete 100 patients first, get all the clinical data ready, and then apply for the PMA in Australia and launch the product in Australia first. and then because that brings revenue to the company, and then
Hmm.
eventually we start adding another 275 patients, and then we go to the US FDA to apply for the PMA. So that's the basic plan that we are working on. Uh, our idea is to have a multi-center clinical study in Asia for this purpose, and we are looking for expanding our clinical sites in Singapore and in India, in Taiwan. We have two sites in Australia already. We are working on, and China we keep it as a separate market, so we would just out license in China since the work. The work culture and the way clinical trials happen in China totally different. They have their own set of regulations, so we consider to out-license Vitagus for the China market separately.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to click that like and subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also get the notifications to get updates on all our latest videos. And of course, make sure you get a copy of my #1 bestseller book, 10 Bagger Blueprint, #1 bestseller on Amazon. Gives you my proven framework, the proven system for finding stocks that can go up 10x to 100x. Now look, I've created over $1 trillion in wealth for investors over the course of the last 25 years. And this book gives you that proven framework, a proven 10-step system for finding those stocks which can go 10x to 100x. It tells you the signals to look for, when to get in, when to get out. It goes into fundamentals, technicals, charts, all the stuff that you need. So again, 10 Bagger Blueprint on Amazon, and here's to your 100x.
Okay. And okay, so one thing I want to ask you, so this market opportunity that you're addressing for Vitargus, um, how big is the market opportunity for this treatment?
Oh, if we just have if you only consider for United States, there are almost around 200,000 to 225,000 surgeries a year. So it's quite a big market, and this disorder typically happens after the age of 40, especially in case of patients who already have diabetes or glaucoma. So retinal detachment gets common once the person gets aged, and it has to be treated immediately. If didn't take care immediately, the situation can worse, and the patient may lose his eye, not just eyesight but the
Mm.
entire eye. So
Oh, wow.
treating yeah, so treating
Right, sir.
retinal detachment is has to be taken care on priority basis.
Okay.
And
And
this,
so so this is a essentially from what I understand, this is a compound that's like a gel
oh
that
yeah,
you've created.
so the the R&D team basically from whom we license the patent is from Taiwan. There's an institute here called as NHRI, that's National Health Research Institute. Those scientists developed this gel, and this gel has almost similar physical properties of the naturally occurring vitreous body that's present in your eye, and the refractive index is almost equivalent. So it's a very clear gel, looks exactly like the vitreous body that's already present in the human eye. And the best part is that the compounds that we use to make this gel are also present in our body. So once they start to degrade, the body won't consider it as a foreign particle, and then it gets secreted more easily. There are enzymes that can act on those compounds and then degrade into small molecules and get excreted through the human body. So that's how the gel works. Uh,
And
the
how is it used? This is used. How is it used in the treatment for like the retinal detachment? It's used after the surgery, or what's the process?
Okay, so usually in the vitrectomy, the vitreous body gets damaged, so you have to remove the damaged portion of the vitreous body and then add in a filler. So that
Mm.
filler is called as the vitreous substitute, so that the eyeball maintains its shape, and then retina gets sufficient support to get attached to its surface. The fillers basically are like gas or silicone oil, which are being used currently. But our since our is a gel, has more solid form,
Okay.
can have more stronger support, and it doesn't really interact with the retina. Although we claim this thing, but FDA has asked us to do more mechanistic study and provide sufficient data on this part, which we
Mhm.
understand that once we have enough patients, like once we enroll 100 patients and we collect enough data, we can really be in a good position to explain how the mechanism works, um, how the biodegradation also works, and we can give a more clear idea to US FDA also when we enroll another 275 patients. So that will be the mechanistic study, which is necessary before we apply for the PMA in Australia as well as in US. So we are bound to work on that part to explain
Mhm.
the entire story of how Vitargus will work. But for
Okay.
now, is the most easy way to explain to the market is that the Vitrus substitute that we have has almost similar property as of the naturally occurring Vitrus body. So it's not something that's not familiar for the human body. Like there's SF6 gas that is used, which doesn't really is not present in our body at all. So is just used as a filler. Again, the second product that is commonly used is silicone oil. Silicone oil has its own density, and there are
So, okay,
yeah.
and so essentially with Vitargus, the treatment that you're developing, this gel,
Mhm.
the advantage is going to be that what that it's more effective. It the person doesn't have to lay face down
No,
for a
no face
certain.
down position. Like usually in the regular marketed products that undergo that are used in vitrectomy, the patient has to stay face down for almost 21 days in the first surgery,
That's
and
a long time. Face
yeah,
down
it's,
for 24 hours a
no,
day.
24
24
hours.
hours a day.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
There's
crazy.
a lot of restriction on that part since
Yeah.
the eyeball has to stay steady. So
Okay.
the doctors, they keep monitoring, and then usually every week the doctors would monitor the position of the eyeball, and then they can
Mhm.
also recommend how frequently the patient can move. But mostly for 21 days at least, the patient has to stay face down. But in our
Wow. Okay.
uh, the patient can stay upright like even after the surgery. And
Immediately.
another issue that the vision recovery is usually after 14 days time for the current products that are being used. But in our case, the vision recovery can be obtained in 24 hours. So the patient would be feeling more comfortable to have vision,
Right. Right. No, it's a
not very
big
clear
big
vision, but
difference.
at least a good vision in just 24
Okay.
hours. Then eventually the vision improves.
Okay. And in terms of from the you know kind of commercial standpoint, what's
Mhm.
the like what will be the treatment cost? The cost of Vitargus versus the current standard of care.
Mm. Okay, yeah, that's something
And there's
the market.
obviously there's a cost savings, so for
Yeah,
insurance,
yeah,
there's a big advantage for that. But let's talk
yeah.
about.
So vitrectomy is not really doesn't really fall into a lot of medical insurances sometimes. But there are some medical insurance that allow vitrectomy also. So the kit that is used for one surgery depends on the product that the patient is choosing for. The cost is around 2,000 to 3,000 US dollars per kit. And if the patient has to undergo two surgeries, then the cost is again double. Sometimes there's no need to refill in the second surgery, but there's a need to remove the
Mm,
egg, the one that was inserted in the first surgery. So there are two surgeries usually minimum that take place. Uh, so considering that cost, our idea, because the chemicals that we use to make this gel produced worldwide, and they are readily available in the market. So the raw material is not very expensive. But since this is a mixture of compound, and when you mix two things together, you need to care about the endotoxin, because endotoxin could create a lot of side effects. So it has to be manufactured in a very good GMP facility, and has to store in very well controlled conditions. So that's one reason our product would be a bit expensive initially when we enter into the market. But our idea is to keep the price moderate, not too high, not too low compared to the marketed products. But we also have a plan to go on reducing the cost. We have our own facility here in Taiwan. Uh, that facility is currently a pilot scale facility. So we are developing that facility. Is already a built up facility. We are working with companies uh, to bring in equipments and then initiate the pilot plant here. So that way, the cost that we would spend on the clinical trial would be significantly reduced. And eventually, once we set up, we have our own production for the from the pilot plant, and use the product in our clinical trials. We would start growing, developing a bigger plant, a GMP plant. We have a facility in Fremont, which is capable that we can bring in equipments there, and then have a bigger production
Okay.
facility. So that
Okay.
way,
Well,
we'll have our own production and then control the cost from there.
okay. Okay, so I want to cover that in a little bit later, but I want to so essentially the price, I guess this might be a little bit off, but you have the idea is what? The idea is, are you going to manufacture? Are you're gonna market this yourself, or are you going to license out your these drugs and for or Vitargus? You're going to market this yourself, or is it going to be licensed?
It really depends on how good deal we get when it comes for licensing.
Okay.
But our idea is that we do have two manufacturing units, one in Asia, one in US. So there's a good chance that we will manufacture by ourselves and market it by ourselves also. Yeah. But
Okay.
both the facilities need upgradation, and bring in new equipment, high-tech equipments for this production.
But in terms of the overall market, you said there's about 200,000 of these surgeries a year.
Yeah.
And is this about is this Vitargus, is this like you're saying it's about a $2,000 product roughly, or how much would it?
Our current cost estimates suggest that, considering all the production plan that the company is working on, and the way we could do the manufacturing all by ourselves, we understand our product could land somewhere between 1,500 to 2,200 something.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So how much? I'm trying to do the math. So 200,000 times, what's the
You
math? I
could
mean,
just,
what's the number?
for easy calculation, you could consider somewhere around 2,000 US dollar per kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much is 200,000 times 2,000? What is that? What's that? Is that 400 million? How much?
Yeah, let's do 200,000 into 2,000. Yeah, it's about 400 million.
400. Okay, so potentially it's a $400 million a year product, or this niche. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
you're
the target.
okay, and you're going into phase 2 in Australia. How and essentially, so what's the timeline on that? When is that going to start? Like, what's the end point? And how far? Again, assuming everything goes well, to the next,
Mhm.
how far off is commercialization? Is that like timeline for that? Assuming, again, assuming everything goes according to plan.
Okay, if everything goes well, we set up our own pilot plant, do the production, and start the clinical trials in Australia. Uh, Not just Australia, but in in the Asian continent. Probably we'll have 5 to 6 sites here, and considering at least 10 to 15 patients per site, probably it will take somewhere around 2.5 years to complete 100 patients, and then application for PMA. So everything, uh, fast forward, we anticipate everything to get concluded in 3 to 4 years from now. Yeah,
Okay.
so we should be in a position to get the approval for commercialization from Australian FDA in 4 years time from now. Yeah.
Okay. And right now, so you had okay. I want to talk about some of the botanical based drugs that you're
Mhm.
developing. This is for the psychiatric disorders for what is it, the major depression, ADHD. I don't know if we'll have time to touch on the oncology program because that's still
Mhm.
preclinical. Maybe we could do that another time. But I want to kind of maybe finish off on those on this botanical based program. Now,
Mhm.
you also I saw you had a news release that you're expecting about I think 7 million in licensing revenues this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for
Okay.
which programs? Where is
It's
that
for the
coming from?
CNS program. What we have done is basically we were looking for partners to work with us, and then we found 3 partners in Asia who were interested in one product from ABVC. So we did the out licensing to them, considering that these 3 partners, they have their own plans for IPOs and bringing in new products into their own pipeline. So we just open up avenues to have more funding possibilities, not only from US but from the other markets also. So that was one of the reason why we started working with these private entities, and then we out license to them. So one of them is AI Battle. AI Battle is going to work on the CNS drug. It so happens that AI Battle, it feels that we have licensed them to uh, to do the clinical trials on behalf of ABVC. But actually, AI Battle is going to use these CNS drugs as their fundamental study drugs for them, and they have a future
Yes,
plan to
okay. This is
bring in.
this is wait, which this is this drug that you're talking about. This is not
For the
the ones
CNS
that
drug, the
it's
psychotic disorder,
oh okay.
the drug for
Okay,
psychotic disorder. Yeah,
okay, this is the botanical based drug, right?
botanical based. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So this is the
So
one that this is being out licensed?
yeah, we outlicense it to AI Battle, who is also
Okay.
looking for bringing in more funds for their company itself, for their own IPO program also, and they
Okay.
have their own plans on working for AI-driven medical services. Uh,
Hmm.
so eventually, when we were doing all these clinical trials for the MDD and ADHD, we realized that having a supportive hand from technology would also be a very good way to collect more data on the clinical trials. And that was the idea that AI Battle picked from us, and
Okay.
they decided to work on that part. So initially, they took the license. They did the in licensing from ABVC on the psychiatric disorder, so that they can access all our data, they can get our expertise support, and then they can start working on their own plans and also bring in more products on the CNS side. So that was
Okay.
the main aspect behind this.
Got it. Okay. And what do you have to, what are the milestones to get that 7 million? Like what to that you have that you need to hit?
Mm. So AI Battle is working on its own IPO plan. They have been working with investors for almost a year now, and they told us that they are in a good position to come up with good funding so that they can pay us that 7 million cash. That's the reason we try to explain the market that there's revenue coming in for ABVC through this licensing deal. But when and how, we are not allowed to talk about that yet. since
Okay.
it's AI better's work, and once they come up with the entire story to us, we'll be in a position to disclose that news also. But we are eyeing for at least 10 million revenue from these three affiliates that we have been working on for last 1.5 year. So we expect at least 10 million US dollars by end of 2025.
Okay. But by the end of this year, potentially 10 million in licensing fees.
Yeah, license.
And this is only for the Asian market that this is going to be. The licenses
No, this is
covers.
going to be for the worldwide market. Yeah,
Okay.
these licensing deals are for the worldwide market, and
Okay.
like each of these affiliates that we are working on, they have their own separate plans for the IPOs. Uh, Not necessarily all three will go to the US, but maybe they will approach different markets also.
Got it. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the botanical based program. So I think you
Mhm.
have a couple of different drug names, but you have these are what in phase you have three different programs, I think, for the botanicals.
Two different programs.
Two different programs. Okay.
Yeah, basically is one drug that has shown multiple indications. So we have two
Okay.
drugs. One drug shown two indications. Another drug has shown four indications. But FDA considers one indication as one drug. So that's why you see like six pipelines on the
Hmm.
botanical drug side. There's also another third pipeline that is depression in cancer patient, but it's a derivative of MDD itself. So we gave a different product number to that clinical trial only because the patient pool that we are going to work on is a different patient pool, not the same as the one that we work for MDD. This will be more on the cancer patients, and the effect of our drug on depression that is caused to cancer patient. So that will be a separate clinical trial, and I think we'll be working with psilocybin uh, on that particular clinical trial.
Okay. And what is it? So these drugs you have you have a program for the depression, one for ADHD.
Mhm.
What the it's based on botanicals. Like what is it's based on it's a plant based, right? So
Yeah.
what kind of plants? Like what are what's the method of action?
Okay. So there are like depression is basically caused because of there are two nerves, a transporter and a receptor. So when there's a signal broken between these two nerves, that triggers depression. There are proteins called as serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, which are responsible if there's low concentration of any of these, the person starts to feel more negative thoughts, and then that escalates into depression thereafter. So having said that, there are drugs who are more selective to serotonin or norepinephrine. The mode of action is that concentration of norepinephrine or serotonin should be sufficient enough so that the receptor can receive it, and then there will be a good transport of signal, so depression won't occur. But it so happens that when the transporter brings either norepinephrine or serotonin into the duct, it gets reuptake by the transporter itself. So there's low concentration left for the receptor to receive, and that's why the signal is either is broken or the signal is low. Now you need to fix this portion. So what our drug is doing is once norepinephrine is released from the transporter, our drug blocks the transporter site, so it doesn't reuptake the norepinephrine that was released into the duct, and then the concentration of norepinephrine is sufficient enough for the receptor to absorb. So that's how the signal continues, and there's no break in the signal. So that's the path our drug follows. So we call it as a norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. So
Okay.
it
Which
stops
and which plant?
reabsorption.
Oh, okay. And which plant? Like what plants does this come from? Like how does this work?
Okay. The plant name is Yuan Sai. It's called
Okay.
Polygala. that is already known in traditional Chinese medicine. But this product was basically known to induce sleep. So any person who is tired, not feeling comfortable, they used to prescribe this medicine, and they used to feel like having a good sleep after taking this drug.
Mm,
But then
okay.
after we tested this drug, we found out that it has a real effect on norepinephrine. So we extracted the API from the plant and then formulated it into a capsule. So that's how the drug has extracted from the plant. So it doesn't
Okay.
really come from the entire plant. It only comes from the root of that plant. This plant is majorly grown in mainland China. There are farmlands there. There are farmers who cultivate this plant. So the root is used for extraction, and we purify and remove a more purified extract of the API concentration, and then formulate it into a capsule.
Okay. And you have can you talk about some of the partners you have
Mhm.
on these programs? Yeah, I think you have some different clinical partners, right? And some of these
Yeah. Okay, so the sites that we work on, we are majorly working on the sites in US and in Taiwan. In US, we are working with UCSF for ADHD. We are working with Stanford for our MDD clinical studies. Cedars-Sinai, like I explained, will be working for depression in cancer patient. We are also looking for clinical sites for our oncology product. Uh, but in Taiwan, we have five major clinical sites that have been working for MDD and ADHD. All are reputed institutions and big hospitals, both in US and in Taiwan. Uh, Taiwan is basically because the company started from Taiwan and then eventually went to US. So we have a very good touch base in Taiwan, and since we got public in US, we also had very good contacts in US, and then we started having bringing in more clinical sites in US. The idea of bringing more sites is that we eventually, when we get into bigger clinical stages like phase 3, we would need a bigger patient pool, and then we'll have to work on different ethnicity also. So going multinational and multi-central clinical trial is beneficial for us.
Okay. And let's talk about, I want to kind of end off on what are the market cap of the company is what, about 16 million or so right now. Stock is about, 65, 70 cents. What what are the upcoming milestones that you have that investors should be paying attention to, which could have an impact on the stock? Well, like what are the important milestones over the next 6 months or so?
Mm-hmm. Okay, over the 6 months, potentially we will be completing our end of phase 2 meeting for MDD. Once we complete the end of phase 2 meeting, we'll have a very good negotiation point with big pharmas to out license the product. So that will bring revenue for the company again. Our idea is
That,
to, yeah,
that's for the Vitargus, yeah? That's for
that's for
Vitargus.
MDD, because for the MDD we have completed the phase 2 clinical
Oh,
trial
okay.
already. So we have already we have worked with a team from MIT, and they have helped us to prepare the protocol also for phase 3. There are few questions that we understand that FDA would ask us during the end of phase 2 meeting. So we are getting ready to prepare for those questions. Once that is done, we'll approach FDA, and Dr. Favo would help us to discuss and put our story in front of FDA for phase 3 clinical trial. So that's something the market has to look forward for, that getting done with the end of phase 2 meeting uh, gives us a very good booster to discuss with big pharmas for the out licensing, and then
Okay.
move forward for the phase 3 clinical trials on that. Apart from that, our if everything works well, the pilot plant in Taiwan should be functional by by next by the third quarter. Yeah. And then we should start our own production for the pilot scale for Vitargus, and that will be the supply chain for the clinical trials. That's the phase 2 clinical
Okay.
trials in Australia, and we'll increase our clinical sites to make sure that the sites can have more number of patients enroll as quickly as possible, and then we would be in a position to complete 100 patients data and go for the PMA in Australia. So those are
Okay.
the two major milestones. The other milestones are we are still waiting for AI Battle and the other affiliates to let us know about their own IPO plan. Since we hold a huge number of shares in those companies right now, uh, the moment they get listed in any of their potential markets that they are looking for, that brings value to all the shares that we hold, and that is again going to help ABVC to show up on its own market cap. So they would indirectly boost ABVC's market cap.
Right, right. And those and so this AI battle, that's an AI, and that's a whole separate conversation, but they're
Yeah.
basically an AI based AI based drug discovery platform. Is that what they do?
Not really on the drug discovery part. Okay, I will just give you a brief idea that what AI Battle is looking for is to bring out more efficient data on the clinical trials. Uh, over the uh, over the past 3 years, we have done some study, and we found out that most of the clinical trials they are either they are stopped, or the pharmaceuticals they just close down the clinical trials due to irregular data that was obtained. Like sometimes the placebo effect is too high compared to the product, but that's not something is not because of the product itself. It's also because of the way the clinical trial was handled, and
Hmm.
there could be also a human error in that. But then the company has to suffer because the data did not come out very well. So having more higher placebo effect is not something that FDA appreciates, right? Not just FDA, but also in the clinical studies is not appreciated. So uh, the clinical study has to be closed, and then if the pharmaceutical company has enough funds, they would just submit another revised protocol, and then get everything more in uh, settle in more precise way to make sure that the clinical trial, once they restart, won't won't suffer a setback like the previous one. So AI Battle has found out those kind of uh, I would say like loopholes in the traditional way of running a clinical trial, and then
Okay.
their idea is to try to fix those loopholes, not actually fix, but to have a supportive AI platform to make sure that that kind of an error may not occur, or there will be enough data that can be compared with the traditional way of clinical trial, and also with the AI generated data that can help the scientists to compare both the set of data and try to figure out the relation between those two data and give a more better explanation to FDA.
Okay, so so essentially, so it's I guess what it's a service for clinical trials. That's what they do,
Uh,
right?
Yeah, I would say
It's a
like
clinical.
developing a software platform for the
Okay,
clinical trial, supportive software platform.
okay,
And their idea is also to apply for software as a medical device to FDA and see
okay,
if they can compete on that part, and then get FDA's approval and also launch that product in the market. So not just to help our clinical trial or any particular client's clinical trial, but they want to make platforms that are that will be universal, and all the companies that are working on clinical trial could take advantage of that. So
okay.
their idea is to
Interesting.
work
Okay,
on.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll look forward to hearing that. Okay, so to wrap up, you have some milestones coming up. How is the the cash position of the company? Do you have do you have enough capital on hand to meet your needs for the next for 2025 right now?
Uh, yeah, we have enough cash in hand, and also support from our board of directors. to keep continuing our work by end of 2025 for sure. But we also have several we are working with several investors right now, and that way, concluding on a few investments in next coming 2 quarters, we would be in a very good position to continue working. So there won't be any lapse or any
Okay.
any delays in the work thereafter. So we have been going on slow for the investment part lately. It's just because we wanted to make the company more stable,
Mhm.
and get one thing done at a time, not just put hands in everything at once. So that's why raising fund, we were going slow on that part, but we
Okay.
do have
What's
enough
the
cash to
in
continue. Yeah.
Okay, but in terms of if you were to raise, if you were to do a raise of like what kind of, I mean, like essentially what's the, how much would you need to raise, let's say in
Mhm.
25 if you had to do a capital raise?
Uh, like I said, if we are in a good position to receive the licensing fees from our affiliates, and that could be around 10 million, which is a good
Okay.
amount. The There's another thing that the company has worked out is, we we are not taking a cash salary from the company. All the senior executives, they are basically working on compensation. So we are not drawing cash from whatever funds that we are raising from the market. So that's one thing we are trying to do is keep more cash for the company's well-being, and also have enough cash to keep the company moving forward. Once we raise funds, we are looking for raising somewhere around at least 5 million by end of 2025, only for ABVC, apart from the licensing fees that we would get. Um,
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
yeah, that would be a
Um,
fair enough amount that we can utilize for our own clinical trials, and keeping the company moving forward.
Got it. Okay. Last question we always like to ask CEOs on this program is, so in your opinion, what are the top three reasons why investors, should consider, buying ABVC today?
Okay. Uh, we we would like to encourage the investors not to invest in ABVC or buy ABVC stocks only for a short-term period. They should consider for the long-term perspective, and try to understand the real reason why ABVC is doing uh, this kind of a business strategy push, and what could be the reasons behind that. The first thing is that our products are all natural. Uh, they require more time for cultivation also, and then we uh, we are currently focused on buying the raw material from the market, which is not very cheap. But then the company is trying to work on that part also. Like we gave out a few press releases explaining why the company is interested in buying land in Taiwan and in Asia, basically is to start the cultivation by ourselves. So we are looking forward to have our own agriculture plants, and then have our own extraction plants also. That way, we'll reduce the cost
Okay.
on the formulation of the drug. So our estimates tell us that the moment our agriculture plants are fully functional, and we start the extraction and formulation all by ourselves, the same capsule that we are working on for MDD, for the CNS drugs, the cost would drop down at least 70%. So that way, it will be quite affordable for the market. But having said that, this is not something that is going to happen immediately. It requires time, and we want the market to show patience on that part. Again, for the market to expect good news from ABVC, like I said, would be about the end of phase 2 meeting for MDD, initiation of the Vitargus clinical trials, and also for depression in cancer patient that we are considering to initiate in 2025. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so the milestones are coming up. Okay, great. Uttam, thank you, and we look forward to hearing more from ABVC in the months ahead.
Yeah. Uh, the company is really glad and they appreciate the way the market has been approaching ABVC recently, and we are looking forward to give out more information to the market. But we do have our own restrictions, and we are not supposed to speak loudly. So there will be some news coming out frequently. So we request the market to follow up on ABVC.